Back on The Real Story now, GOP presidential candidate Governor John Kasich riding high after his win in his home state of Ohio last night, telling supporters he's going to go all the way to the convention and secure the Republican nomination. But the math doesn't seem to be on his side. Right now, he has 142 delegates. It takes 1,237 delegates to clinch the nomination, with just 1,073 delegates yet to be chosen. So that would mean Kasich would need to be, well, he'd need to win more than 100% of them. Joining me now, Montel Williams, retired Marine, veterans advocate, talk show host, and Kasich supporter. Montel, great to see you again. Thanks for being on The Real Story.
Gretchen, thanks for having me on. Really, thank you.
So I know as a Kasich supporter, you were thrilled last night with the Ohio outcome. I just want to read to you from the National Review today. They talk about Kasich and his path to nomination being a prayer that no candidate arrives at the convention with a majority of the delegates, and that he can then win a sufficient number of delegates on a subsequent ballot to grab the nomination. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, you know, we know that now the convention is going to be one, whether you call it contested, brokered, whichever way you want to put it. I don't believe that Mr. Trump has the ability either to get the golden number. And so I think John should stay in, Mr. Kasich should stay in, Governor Kasich should stay in, and he should fight out the good fight. And I think that what you're seeing, especially in Ohio, you saw some Democratic voters in Ohio say that, you know, they just weren't happy with the Democratic side, so they were going to vote on the Republican side. But some of them were saying that they were going to pick Kasich. So I think the jury is out, Gretchen. I really do. I mean, you know, I heard today that, you know, the Cruz camp is saying that, you know, Kasich is now proven to be a friend of Hillary's. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. There is absolutely zero chance for Cruz to also do well west of the Mississippi.
Okay.
And so I think what we ought to do is keep an eye on the prize, and let's see what happens when we get to the convention.
Well, no doubt that your candidate Kasich is the most moderate now of the three remaining. But let me ask you this. Do you believe that John Kasich should change the way in which he's conducted himself thus far? He's tried to stay positive. He alluded to the fact yesterday that maybe now he would have to go a little bit negative about Donald Trump. What do you think he should do?
See, I think one of the things, and Gretchen, maybe I'm the only one out here in the whole country trying to see if we can remind all of us that when this is all said and done in November, we still have to be in America. Whether or not we're in America, you know, there are people right now who are getting 30% of their party's vote, which would be less than 12% of the national vote. We have to remember that we have to come together. I think one of the ways that Governor Kasich is going to accomplish the holding others accountable doesn't have to necessarily be in some dogfight, you know, brawl that we want to have as part of reality TV. He can make his points as clearly as he's making them in the eyes of, let's say, the Pennsylvania voters and also the Ohio voters. And let's see what happens when he gets out to west of the Mississippi. There's a lot going to happen west here. And that's when, you know, I think when we get to the convention, lots of other voices may be heard, even mine maybe.
Very interesting. You'll have to fill me in on that. Are you going to be a delegate?
Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be a delegate, but I'm definitely going to have a big mouth, and you're going to hear it.
Okay. You were also a former member of the military. I want you to check out this survey of American military personnel. It finds that Donald Trump, followed by Senator Bernie Sanders, are the troops' top choices to become the next commander-in-chief. Are you surprised at that?
Well, let me just say something. What people have to understand is that this survey, even by its own admission, has zero really credibility because you can't even figure out the margins of error whether or not it's true or false. But let's just look at it on the surface. The highest numbers that Donald Trump got was about 30% of people who say they support him. But what was so troubling is that there's a large percentage of those military officers and enlisted personnel who say unequivocally they could not stomach him being the commander-in-chief. Multiple have stated that they would resign their commissions or resign from service upon his, you know, swearing in. So how disruptive is that going to be at the end of the day? And let's remember again, Gretchen, right now, Mr. Trump can claim that he's got 40% of the Republican vote in these primaries, but that's really less than 15% of the national population. Let's see what happens when the rubber meets the road. And, and look, I respect our military service members. They can pick and choose anybody they want, every single one of them. They have a right to do so. But I think, you know, what they have to remember is that when you look at the people out here playing in the playing field, remember, while John McCain was in a POW camp holding down the truth of what democracy in our country is all about, Donald Trump, by his own admission, was chasing skirts in New York City. And remember, he asked for, that's in his own book. He asked for Look, I had him on my book. I'm the only person that interviewed him for The Art of the Deal for an hour on the Montel Williams show.
No, I know.
The only
I hear
person.
You. Okay.
So
all right.
he also, let's make sure you make that point. He
okay.
also got a deferment. So that meant 30, 40 years ago, he didn't want to serve. Why would I want him to be our commander-in-chief right now?
You are entitled to your opinion. You said that
yes,
you're going to keep talking about it for John Kasich. We appreciate you being here today, Montel. Thanks.
Thanks, Gretchen.